Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be making a Nigella plum jam. It's going to be very delicious and I can't wait to share the recipe with you. So I purchased these Nigella seeds. I was really interested in making this because not only is it supposed to be a really good jam for, different kinds of sweet things, it's also supposed to be really good on meat. So I'm gonna give it a try. I've never made it before, but I'm excited to try this recipe. The plums that I have, you can use a couple different kinds of plums. They say you can use a green plum if you prefer to use that, or you can use an Italian plum, which is what I have. So I'm gonna start off by taking a 1/4 cup of my Nigella seeds, and just so you can see, they're just kind of a black, almost like I guess they're like a sesame seed. And they have kind of an earthy smell. Smell really good. So it says in the recipe we're supposed to kind of crush them a little, not too much, but I'm gonna put mine through the food processor because I don't really have a mortar and pestle. So here we go. So I'm just gonna put my seeds right inside my food processor. I'm gonna put this on chop. Oh my gosh, that smells so good. I've never smelled a Nigella seed. Those are so good. Oh, wow. Talk about giving off an aroma. Oh my gosh. It's kind of a floral, I can't compare it to anything. It's kind of a floral, it's a strong scent. It smells very good. So let me show you how we're gonna make it. We're gonna start off by putting a small plate in our freezer so that we can test the jam, because today we're not adding any pectin. So we're gonna start off by adding our plums. I have 4 pounds, which basically is equivalent to 4 cups of plums. And to that, I'm gonna be adding 2.5 cups of sugar. And I'm gonna put these ground Nigella seeds in here. And I'm also gonna be adding the juice of 1 lemon. And we're just gonna heat that up. Now I am going to be adding some water. They say up to 1.5 cups of water. I'm gonna go ahead and add 1/2 cup of water right now. And then I'm just gonna see how much water it needs. So I've got 1.5 cups of water all measured out. The reason I'm waiting on some of the water is because my plums were frozen. Oftentimes I love to cook with frozen plums. I just think that they come out really good after they've been in the freezer a while. And I'm really interested, I got a couple nectarines in here too, so we're gonna just cook those in with our plums. But these are, it is the most unusual sweet, oh my goodness, it's a great smell. I just love it. So I put about half of my water in. As you can see, it's very soupy, very wet. We're gonna cook these plums down and see what this brings us. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and clean and heat up my jars. I'm gonna be putting these in some pint-sized jars. I may put them in some jelly jars, I'm not sure. If this is a really delicious jam, if it tastes as good as it smells, I may give some of this away as gifts for Christmas. So the plums have started cooking down. I'm just gonna give them a little stir, keep an eye on them. We don't want anything to burn. There's a lot of sugar in here and a lot of activity going on in this jam. I'm still holding off on that last half of the water. As I said, a lot of the water is probably coming out of these frozen plums, and I can always add more water. It's very hard to take it out. You pretty much have to cook it out, and sometimes that really does affect the taste of the jam. So I'm just gonna continue to let this cook and keep an eye on it. I am gonna be using an immersion blender, although these will soften up quite a bit as they're cooking. I just kind of like the texture of having everything broken down a little bit more. But if you like this texture, I would recommend maybe taking a cup of this out, putting it aside when it's cooked down just a little bit more. Maybe use the immersion blender and then add that cup back in, and it'll leave you some texture to your jam. I read online that if you really don't care for the Nigella seeds, you could substitute chamomile for another floral scent. Those I would put in a tea bag and cook it in that way so that you don't have all the chamomile inside of your jam. So this jam is going to cook approximately a half an hour. We're going to take about 10-15 minutes to keep it really boiling at a nice hot pace. So I actually leave it on high, and I have to continually keep stirring it just to make sure that there's nothing sticking to the bottom of the pan. Then we're gonna, as soon as it has been about 10 or 15 minutes, we're gonna turn the temperature down to a medium high, but this needs to boil and really cook these plums for like the first 15 minutes. So when we get to the next stage, I'll bring you back, we'll turn it down, and I think at that point I might use my immersion blender and do the last 10 minutes, and then we'll do our jam test. So I went ahead and used my immersion blender. I didn't do it as much as I sometimes do it. I decided to leave a few kind of little pieces inside of the jam. And I've turned the jam down. I'm going to cook it like another 10 minutes. I'm going to keep checking it. This actually is a beautiful consistency, but we want to make sure that it's the texture of jam. So we are going to do our test. We're just going to wait a little bit and continue to cook it. But I'm really happy with the way it's coming out so far. It just looks stunning. Smells amazing too. Okay, let's go ahead and test our jam. And all we do is just put a couple drops on this plate that's been in the freezer. And we're gonna wait about 30 seconds to a minute. We're gonna put it right back in the freezer. So all we're gonna do, put it this way, push this up, it's holding pretty good, I think. So our jam is going to be canned with just a 1/4 inch of headspace, and these are very small jars. These are just the half pints. So we're gonna see how much we get out of this. I'm gonna top all these off. It doesn't look to me like we're gonna get 8 pints out of this. I think honestly, we'll be lucky to get 4. All right, well, that's the way it goes sometimes. You can't always tell. But you can see they're sticky all over the tops of these. So I'm actually gonna get a little bit of vinegar, and I'm gonna make sure that I get all that cleaned up so that we get a good seal. You don't ever have to worry about the taste or smell of vinegar when you use this on your jars. It doesn't permeate into the jam at all. It just picks up that, you know, sugary whatever's on the lids of your jars to help it seal. So it works fine. All right, now all we're gonna do is put these back in our canner, and we're gonna can them for 10 minutes. To wait for it to come up to a full boil. And this is a water bath can. So let's give this jam some taste. I'm gonna try it on this really good wheat bread that I made. It's just delicious. It's got all kinds of seeds and nuts in it. Very good. It's a bread maker bread. If you're interested in making this, I've got a link I'm gonna put above. Feel free to watch it. It's a wonderful wheat bread. Now let's try our jam. It's really thickened up nice. Spreads beautifully. So let's give our jam a try. I don't know where to start. Mmm. Mmm. Very delicious. Very different. Very floral. You've got the taste of the plums, but those Nigella seeds, they really add a whole different flavor, smell, everything. I can see how this would taste really good on some pork or some roast, maybe even some chicken. And some toast. It's amazing. Very good flavor. So if you have never tried Nigella seeds before, if you've never had plum jam before, maybe now's the time to make it. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, or ring the bell for future notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.